Hello and welcome to another Sunday Superversive live stream. I am your host, Benjamin Wheeler, and I've lost my co-host, Anthony Marchetta. Hopefully he'll be back soon. Uh, so, there we go. Welcome back, Anthony. We're on stream. Are you there?
I am.
Excellent. We're on stream. All right. So, I suppose a
Cool.
lot of you are wondering, with all the recent events and such, why not talk about those recent events? The assassination of Charlie Kirk and that one poor Ukrainian girl who was stabbed by a violent schizophrenic. Well, quite frankly, I don't want to talk about it. Other better people with more violent constitutions have talked about it. But me, I don't want to talk about it. This is a timeline cleanse. There's only so much we can do to talk about the dead, even the dead in Christ. Who knows how the soul of the Ukrainian woman was. Not in a good state, probably, knowing how poorly the Ukrainians have treated their church. But I don't want to talk about it. There's things that we could talk about that are of our interests, like taking the ticket and whatnot. But I don't want to talk about that or bring that up because one, it's too soon, and two, it's not in the spirit of what we need done. You should be being good and either supporting those who are doxing people and reporting them to their job sites, or you need to be doing that yourself. But today on this stream, we are not talking about that anymore. Maybe we'll do a little something or whatever about some other stuff at the end. But for now, we are talking about the paintings of Dr. Suess, who was, and this may shock some people,
Yes.
an artist beyond the children's books. Why don't you talk a little bit about them, Anthony?
Yeah, so first off, I found this off of a video by a YouTuber named Solar Sands who does art videos. I am not a visual artist. I am an artist of words in the way that Ben is. Visual art, I know very, very little about, which is unfortunate, and I consider this something gap in my knowledge, right? So I've been trying to follow Solar Sands, who is he does a lot of interesting videos. He did one on Thomas Kincaid. He did one on a sculptor who I can't remember the name, but he was he was famous for doing a sculpture of like a metallic looking dog. Bunch of different things. One of his videos were on the midnight paintings of Dr. Seuss, and that led me down a rabbit hole of looking up the paintings myself. And I was very favorably impressed with them. The thing about the art scene is that most of it in the modern world, much like all of our other things, like you'll find good works, but it's going to be outside the mainstream. The mainstream art scene is absolute dog shit. You know it, I know it. You've all seen the crap at the Met. You've all seen like Jackson. Am I there, by the way? Yeah, okay. I saw the screen change, and I wasn't sure if that was me or that was. But okay, good. Anyway,
putting on some entertainment
yeah,
until it's time to put on the paintings.
Sure. We'll put them on in a moment, but yeah, Dr. Seuss's paintings are not absolute dog shit. They are quite good. They are in various real, legitimate artistic traditions that they follow some form of rules, meaning that they meet some form of standard, minimum of what you need to do to qualify as art. So they are art. Some of them are Art Deco. He has a famous Art Deco period. Some of them are surrealist. Some of them are very similar to his children's books. They just look like they were ripped from the pages of a book. Some of them are wildly complicated. Nudity, which is not what you would expect from Doc. You know about his Seven Lady Godiva's book, which is now a coveted collector's item because it was pulled from shelves and Seuss. But yeah, he has a Rape of the Sabine Women painting, and he has a couple others that have like mild nudity in them. But some of these paintings are quite gorgeous, really, really good, very interesting, and good enough that I would buy them. So I selected, because I was the one who found these. Ben suggested 10. I could have definitely done more. I like quite a few of them, and it was kind of tough last few. I do have favorites. In fact, I think we're probably going to discuss my favorite painting first. I also really like some of the themes in them. I can't really speak too intelligibly about like the technical aspects of the painting, and that's unfortunate. Though hopefully I will get better at it. I'm ready. You ready?
Born ready.
Let's do it.
Which one do you want to start with first?
You could just go in the order I posted them. I don't have any particular preference. That would be cat on cat detective on the wrong side of town. That was it.
Gotcha. And we're gonna replace the screen share.
Yep. Yeah, this is a really, really wild, fascinating painting. You could see it has a lot of very jagged Suessian architecture. If there's any book, this is not quite the same as a lot of what he has.
We lost him. So, yeah, I guess I'll talk about it for a bit. I'm not as down on modern art as Anthony is, especially since I started seeing some of them in person. Especially guys like Mark Rothko. There's just something a little bit more when you see the painting in person. Like, quite frankly, you're just not experiencing Rothko unless you're there in front of it, seeing it, getting the texture. There's something hidden on the subliminal. There's also some things, especially from like certain German expressionisms and stuff like that, that are genuinely fascinating, 3D in a way, in ways that are more than just what the modernism is. The philosophy behind a lot of it is garbage, but for some strange reason, the actual talent is very real. But for this, it's in a similar way. The absurdity, the surrealism, the changes of angles. Let me see if I can find. Now there's Detective Cat, somewhere right there. Right, he's looking into a lit up uh, room, but there's a whole city around him, complete with like plazas and vistas that are just teeming with life, even though there isn't any visible life. Hey, Anthony, welcome back.
Yeah. I solved my technical issues. Hopefully that will do it, but we'll see. I cut down on like every other thing that's running to make sure it doesn't shut down on me again. So cross your fingers. Anyway, yeah, you're right. It's teeming with life. It's really interesting. If you know, it's not typical Suessian architecture, but if you know his book, Hooray for Diffendufer Day, it was his last book, at least until they found one and published it posthumously. But it was his last book during his lifetime. It has very jaggedish architecture like this. It was co-finished, I believe, with Jack Kraletsky, maybe, another children's book author. Someone, because he died before he could finish the writing of it. So, yeah, in that book, that has a lot of jagged architecture. That's kind of reminiscent of this. I particularly like what this painting kind of has a noir feel to it, right? With the a lot of dark at the edges. It has the jaggedness. You see the lone detective looking out upon it all. It's very noir influenced. Cat detective on the wrong side of town. It's very it makes you think of someone who is about to go through like the seedy streets of the city, right? with all, and you can imagine a story taking place here. In fact, this is, yeah, it's getting the gears turning. I don't know about you.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of really interesting architecture in here. I think it's interesting too because you do see some of Suess is known for curved lines. He doesn't tend to use as many straight lines in his work, especially in his children's stuff. This has a lot of jagged edges, so you do see some of the typical Seussian curves in the trees. Uh, so you could kind of pin it as Suess a little bit with the trees. And if you zoom in on the detective himself, the cat detective, definitely looks like a Suess character. What else is interesting is it never really occurred to me, but Suess draws a lot of cats. I know Cat in the Hat, right? But like that's one book of many, many, many books. Yeah. But apparently, if you look at his midnight paintings, many of his paintings happen to be cats. So we're going to see that as a theme continue to crop up throughout the paintings. This is my favorite just because of all of the wealth of details in here and the really cool noir inspired aesthetic. It's I would love to see like I would love to set a story in a setting that's inspired by this, and maybe I will one day. Okay, I'm ready. How about you move to the next one, which is Cat on the Wrong Side of Town, or on the Bad
You got
Side
it.
of Town, or the Bad Side of the. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's what it's called.
Well,
Cat on the Wrong Side of the Tracks. Now, what I like about this painting is that I think it pairs really well with Cat Detective on the Bad Side of Town, because I can imagine this being the villain in that story. I don't know if you see the vision there, Ben.
I do see the vision.
You can imagine that detective.
He's driving, by the way. That's his technical problem. Anyway, there's a menace to this guy that simply can't be beat. It's almost like he's a ghost cat rather than a real cat, a real person, a real flesh and blood. No, instead of having some sort of exciting, shootout to the death, you're facing off against someone who can only be defeated by a game. And guess what? You're losing, and you've been losing. The balls are in his court. They're all of a certain kind. The 9, 6, and 2, which I believe are all solid colors, if I'm recalling correctly. Uh, I guess he isn't back. All solid colors, if I'm recalling correctly. There's a menace, a demonhood to this person that is quite frankly, it would be almost to kill the menace to be real rather than unreal. The board seems against you. There's stairs leading up to the pool board, pool table. So it's almost as if you're a ball too, and he's about to knock you around. Welcome back, Anthony.
The groan of frustration. You probably missed it, but I made a groan of frustration. With my
Believe you
thing,
me, I've
guy.
been groaning with
Uh,
frustration all night.
yeah, I know. Uh, I also like the detail that the cat is clearly on his ninth life as well. Uh, and it seems like that ninth life is set up for an easy shot. So he's teetering on the edge of disaster. Perhaps the cat detective is on his tail. Or perhaps that's the ninth life of the cat detective and he's about to knock that ball in. Lots of interesting interpretations there, but I would love to have a story with like a character like this facing off against our noir cat detective in the city. I feel like you could do something really, really interesting with that. And there's just something about the attitude of this cat, like you were saying, right? He's very. I'm trying to think of the word exactly. dude. It's just
You're roboting, my dude.
that this cat has done some things. Yeah. Am I there?
Mm. Right.
You feel
You're
like
there.
this cat has done some things. There you go. He's seen time, right? Or
Right.
perhaps he hasn't, and he's merely dealt with people who have, which is even more interesting. This is clearly the boss of whatever organization our cat detective is going up against.
Yes, absolutely.
Anything you want to add before we move
It's
on? In this case, you could just whatever you want.
Sure. I mean, for this, it's like it definitely feels like this is part of a story, and it's pushed on the tie. There's a female cat. Is that the cat's lover, or is this something else? The eyebrows reach up like flames. It's holding the pool cue almost ethereally. It's just an amazing, like it's just a super detailed piece. Um,
It's an incredible
let me see what the
character
next one on
piece.
your list is.
It just has so much personality.
So the next one is every girl should have a unicorn.
Yeah, every girl should have a unicorn. This one almost seems more Seussian, though once again, the first thing that stands out about it is the amount of detail. Absolutely stunning amount of detail. Like, it's really impressive. I mean, there are very few artists, I think, who would even be capable of something like that.
Oh yeah, I agree. It's hmm. It's one of those things where it's like the forms are everywhere. It feels like you're walking in the forest of flowers. There is some definite details in certain spots, but its balance is just off and all over the place, and it does really feel like it's a dream, or it's a dream of something. I can't really see the unicorn, but maybe it's this massive pink along the right side. Um, the it's not a menacing piece at all, but it's very much something more. What do you think? Did he leave again? Anyway, there are hints of things like in right here of like kind of a wolfish kind of grin. There's like nooses hanging down from certain areas, but it still doesn't feel menacing. It just feels like it's like bubbles in awareness, or the surrounding nature, where the colors and the greenery mix together to form something a little bit more. Oh, actually, no. I do see the girl and the unicorn in the bottom right hand
She's
corner.
there. Yes,
Yes.
the girl on the unicorn. The girl on the unicorn is there. It's
Yep.
unclear if the girl is clothed from this distance. I think he might be evoking, like, virgins on a unicorn. So the nudity is like a purity thing, which is why you don't see any details. Uh, so I wouldn't. It's just not very clear with the style of the painting. But one thing that this whole project did impress upon me was that I probably wasn't giving enough credit to Suess as an artist. Like, I knew he was wildly creative, of course. Anybody can tell that just by looking at his books. But this is a level of detail that I think very few people are even capable of doing. Like, it's a stunning work. The light, the way that the light kind of seems to center around the girl as well. If you look closely, it kind of expands out from just above the girl's head, almost like she's the one emitting the light. So it gives it a sort of angelic quality as well.
Oh yeah.
And yeah,
I
I
mean,
think you're right too. That like it's there's something about the style of this painting that makes it like, you know, you're almost seeing nooses in the trees, right? Like things hanging down. This could be menacing, but Seuss has drawn it in such a way that they don't feel like that. They feel like, you know, bubbles almost or something like that. Um,
right.
the way that the art kind of the way that the light is used in this, I think, is the most impressive thing, though, because of how it's like, I'm trying to think of how to put it. It's like it's at night and all of the light is coming from behind the girl and the unicorn. So they're the ones emitting the light. You know, they're emitting this light in a forest at night. They're the symbol of purity. It's
Right.
very interesting. Anything else you have to add? I wish I could give commentary on how technically difficult it was. I cannot.
Eh,
All I can say is, sure looks hard. I couldn't do
yep.
that.
Yep. It's more about it's like, I don't know, like there's like talk about art and stuff like that, and it's always like, to me, like you like I can't abide reading art commentary most of the time. Mostly I just look for the curated section of pictures, and if there's anything, and then I skim the book, partially because it's like either the person kind of hates it or the person loves it. And you'd be shocked how many people write books about art they hate. So it's a little bit difficult. It's like with writing about writing. I am a craftsman of writing. However, I don't really read all that much writing commentary. I read the original source, and maybe I'll
Yeah,
listen
most
to like a
writing
plot
books are
synopsis.
quite bad.
Hmm. And it's so it's like it's kind of like that. Like we do want to talk about art, but it's like the materials, the this, the that, well, what does it look like? So the next one we're going to is an intolerable situation for a cat.
Yeah, absolutely 10 of 10 title. Intolerable situation for a cat. This was definitely in Seuss's surrealist era, I think,
Mm,
because it seemed very Salvador Dali to me. Just I don't know. I can see like the influence of like the melting clocks, yeah, sort of thing in the way that it's set up. And
right.
the intolerable situation, it's not really made clear the intolerable situation is. Like it's intolerable. He's clearly stuck here, but where is he stuck? There's also a little bit of amusement in calling it an intolerable situation, which has a kind of air of British stuffiness. When it's like, okay, he's trapped in some sort of Lovecraftian. I guess that would be an intolerable situation for a cat, but it's probably downplaying it a little bit.
Yes. Very amusing language.
This one you can almost see being. You could almost see this one being one of his picture books, though. Like I'm thinking of, I had trouble in getting.
I guess he's gone again. Uh, yeah, it's kind of, so the cat is in one section right here. You have, excuse me, you have sort of a halo of the climbing board above him, and also there's this twisty turny uh, branch that's sticking up, reaching into the clouds. So it's like he's stuck up a tree, but also his escape is like a leap of faith away, and he might not make it. And it looks like it's the type of game that will turn if you put any weight on it. So you have this sort of maze-like structure. There's nothing fun or anything like that. If the cat wants to escape, they have to risk the jump onto the halo above, or they have to try to climb down the twisty staircase, which quite frankly cats aren't meant to do. They're not really meant to climb down. Their claws don't turn that way. So it's an infinite maze with no satisfying cat things to have. Welcome back, Anthony.
Yeah, what I was trying to say before I got rudely deleted is this reminds me of
Acting like it's
I had
anyway
trouble.
my fault.
Yeah, no, it's not your fault. It reminds me of I had trouble in getting to Solace Saloon. If you know that book, which is my personal favorite
Nope.
Dr. Seuss book, it's absolutely hilarious. I completely unironically recommend it. And I discovered it like when I was way too old for Dr. Seuss. I think I was in like a 5th grade classroom and a teacher just had it on a shelf and I was bored. And then I read it and I was laughing out loud. I'm actually going to summarize this because it's very amusing and it's worth talking about. So, and I had trouble in getting to Solace Saloon. The main character has many troubles that are always surrounding him. You see like birds dive bombing him. And then someone tells him that he should come with him to the land of Solace Saloon, where there are no troubles, or at least very few. So the protagonist of our story decides to go on this journey to Solace Saloon. And on the journey to Solace Saloon, he keeps running into problems, roadblocks, mazes. I think a war breaks out at one point, until finally he reaches the land of Solace Saloon. And it ends with this incredible, one of the greatest endings to any book ever. They said, in fact, Solace Saloon, you finally reached the land of Solace Saloon, where there are no troubles, or at least very few. In fact, we only have one trouble. You see, there is a key-stealing snitch, and it's killing the key to the gate into Solace Saloon, so no one can enter. And they go, because I'm going to the land, I don't remember what he calls it, like Bibida B or something. He goes, where there are no troubles, not one. He goes, would you care to join me? But the main character is finally fed up and says, I decide, but I wasn't going to go to the land of Balabam B or whatever, because all of my troubles will have trouble. Ends with him carrying a bat with him to knock at all the birds who come at him. 10 of 10 ending. I laughed out loud at it. This scene is very reminiscent of a scene in I Had Trouble in Getting to Solace Saloon. No particular one. You could just imagine them saying, like, and then on my way to Solace Saloon, I had to go through a maze, right? And then this is the drawing that he makes of the maze. So it's interesting that you could sort of see these connections of things that are like leading through in his work to his artwork. I Had Trouble in Getting to Solace Saloon is the most underrated Dr. Zero the ending, and I like that's maybe the greatest end to any children's book ever. Like, what a message. Carry a bat and beat back your troubles. Except don't run away. There is no paradise. Only you can change your fate.
Only you can change your fate. And then, like, anime boss music starts playing. Standing here, I realize, something like that.
I'm gonna make it the Solace Saloon anime.
Yeah.
About a man who has to go on a journey to Solace Saloon, and then the final episode is the great battle to retake his homeland. And then you have the final moment where all of the allies he went on the journey join him in the battle. I got a vision.
It's a great vision.
Okay, we can move on to the next one. I think it's a cool painting.
Yeah.
We've gone over why the title is great and why Solace Saloon is a great book, so we can go to the next one.
Yep. So the next one is A Prayer for a Child.
Yeah, this is. He actually wrote out the prayer on the website, though I don't remember. It was a very simple prayer. And there was nothing, I will also say, by the way, nothing objectionable, which is interesting because Dr. Seuss was what we would nowadays term a shitlib. He was a genius. There's no doubt about that. And he also was in favor of putting Japanese in internment camps, which I totally disagree with, but also based. Uh, However, he was a shitlib.
Yeah.
Pro-abortion, all of that stuff. Yeah. But so it is noteworthy that the prayer was unobjectionable. Yeah, this is the idea is that the prayer rises up from the boy's house and then expands to the cosmos as it makes its way up to the heavens. Once again, there's just really, really interesting in this painting, right? Like, despite not obviously, it's not literally. There's no literalness in this perspective. The boy's house is clearly too big. The Earth is clearly too small. The planets are incorrectly sized. And yet, despite that, it gets across the idea incredibly well. You know, from this tiny boy in this tiny home, the prayer rises up through the heavens to reach God. I don't know. And it also seems like it might be Christmas because there's a Christmas tree next to the home. So this might be a Christmas prayer as well, which gives an extra Christian dimension to this. What was that?
It does feel like Christmas, or that winter solstice kind of thing.
Yeah, it almost seems like there's snow coming from the house, though, like surrounding it.
Yeah.
On this area of the world, though. It's, again, very non-literal, and it seems like there's a Christmas tree. This gives the whole thing, I don't know, it has a very Christian dimension to me, and this definitely feels like a Christmas painting, like something you could see hung up, in as part of your Christmas decorations.
Yeah.
It's also just, I think, a really beautiful idea, right? Like, that our prayers, though they are small things, have cosmic significance. I think it's a really neat message.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see, is there anything about the painting specifically worth talking about besides this? I don't know. I do think that this one seems a little bit more Seussian than like something like Cat Detective on the Wrong Side of Town. Not that there's no specific book I would put this in, but there's something about the way that it doesn't have a lot of straight lines. I think that, in fact, lines now that I'm looking at it, which seems a lot more Seussian than the very angular things in, Cat on the Wrong Side of the Tracks or Cat Detective on the Bad Side of Town. There's something very Seussian about the way that's drawn, but it's also, once again, like, I need to give my compliments to the artist here in that there are so many stunning details. The number of planets, the way that the prayer rises almost like smoke from a chimney, right? But rising into heaven. And I think that there is something very nice about the fact that we see the star on the tree next to it, along with the fact that seems to be snow surrounding it, implying that this is Christmas time. So this is a Christmas prayer. And I do think that this does give some extra power to what we're looking at here. Anything you want to say specifically?
Not about this one. It's just a very nice painting. He got an idea. He portrayed it. There's a mystical sense. It's almost like the planets are gathered round to witness it. It's just very nice. Someone just knocked on my door. Excuse me. Hmm. Local bounced a ball off my door? Hmm. Excuse me. You back?
I have returned. I'm ready for next painting.
The next one is A Chase Through the Forest.
Yeah, what's interesting to me about this one is something that you've probably noticed. Do you see why this is such an odd painting? I mean, it's a beautiful painting. There's an incredible amount of details, but there is nothing being chased. Unlike
yes,
A Girl
is.
and Her Unicorn, which
Yes,
did in
there
fact
is.
show the girl and the unicorn.
There is a bear.
Where is it?
It's in the first off you drive. Don't compare. It's a Susian bear chasing after a woman in the crook of the tree at the bottom.
What a tiny detail. Wow. I looked at this multiple times and I missed it, so good spot.
Thank you, thank you.
Then in that case, I will amend what's interesting about this to being that he very subtly added the chase in the forest, and that's also interesting. So, oops. Good spot, though.
Thank you, thank you.
Can you zoom in on that section, please?
Yes.
Ooh, she chose the bear. Not good.
Not good at all.
Now watch it, and if you read his Rape of the Sabine, or if you look at his Rape of the Sabine women painting, then you'll know who chose the man. Sparta. Seuss's Man Bear series.
Right. The dude's
It seems that Suess is trying to say that in reality there is no winning. What?
Silly Foids always choose the bear. Serious women choose the Roman soldier.
Yes. Either way, you lose.
Right, right.
The true enlightened woman
like
chooses the unicorn. Yeah.
The innocent Foid. You have to use internet terms like Foid now, Anthony. Do we know what it means?
My mistake,
no.
yes. The innocent Foid.
Nobody actually knows. Yes.
No.
Behold,
the innocent Foid chooses the unicorn.
Right. Behold, I have already portrayed you as the foolish Foid who chooses the bear, whereas I have portrayed myself as the innocent woman who has chosen the unicorn. I've been on the internet too much and too long. What's wrong with me? Did he just leave again? Yes. Overall, there's a wealth of detail and color in this painting. A gradient from the lighter colors up in the top left corner down into the bottom left, sort of creating this trough where the colors are actually very dark throughout the center, creating hopefully that's Anthony, creating this kind of trench that guides the eye towards the chase. Where again, the Foid has chosen the bear, but also creates this strange, almost liminal color sequence. It's not so much that the bear and the girl and everything else like that are in any sort of great relief, but rather the feeling is that of a great expanse, a colorful, beautiful expanse, and there is a woman being chased by a bear.
Yeah, you can almost imagine this as being in the same forest as the girl with the unicorn.
Right.
So kind of interesting. I do think it's really funny that he has a Rape of the Sabine women painting with a woman getting carried off by a Roman soldier, and this painting of the woman getting chased by a bear. So now you know what Dr. Seuss thinks of the man-bear dilemma.
We did hear that one. Don't you worry. But
Yes.
yes, it's interesting. It's a easy motif. It's a simple motif, but at the same time, it clearly does something a bit more than just you know some sort of like event in the forest. It almost feels like the forest is swallowing them up, so that even
Yeah,
if the
it's
woman, yes,
sorry. Go ahead.
no, I was basically done.
Yeah, what I was going to say is what's notable to me is the incredible detail in the forest.
Mm,
Like, oh my god, the detail in this forest is amazing. It's
yeah,
really stunning. And this is again like, would I have assumed Dr. Seuss was capable of this? I mean, if somebody asked me, "Do you think Dr. Seuss is capable of this?" then I might have said yes, but it never would have occurred to me. Yeah, to be
hmm
like, "Damn, this is the guy who did Green Eggs and Ham." Yeah.
yeah. There's a decent amount of detail in his artworks, but at the same time, it's a silly detail. It's like a detail of things that really you don't think of nearly as much as you might want to think you do. Like when you look at a painting from like Jackson Pollock, really it's the whole painting that's the subject, not the individual details. There are no individual details. It is a splatter painting. Therefore, if it's worthwhile, you'll see it from the whole rather than the partial. Same with Mondrian, rather, with his squares and straight lines. It's not really in the fine details. You have to take a step back and at a distance where I can take it all in. Hmm.
Hmm. Yeah, whereas with these Seussian paintings, you could zero in on any part of the painting and almost make it a painting on its own, uh, which is a really impressive effect in its own right. I think those
Almost
are both impressive.
fractal.
Hmm. I think they're both impressive for different reasons, depending. I mean, like, I don't
Mm,
have a lot of respect for Jackson Pollock, but I do think there is something to be said for creating a painting where it's like designed to be viewed as a whole and comes together as a whole. I don't think
hmm
Jackson Pollock's always very successful with this, but like that's
Right.
something similar to what the Impressionists will do, for example, Monet. And I do have respect for Monet. I think that some of Monet's works are really gorgeous, but they intentionally don't stand up to zooming in, right? Seuss's
Right.
paintings do, but this is by design, and I think it's very impressive in different ways, right? Because Monet is like the whole is greater than the sum of its parts, and in Dr. Seuss, I don't want to say the whole is necessarily lesser, but each individual part is worthwhile in its own right.
Right. Let's move on to the next one, which is Firebird.
Yeah, Firebird is one of a paired set with another with the painting Freebird, which we'll look at. I think Freebird was first technically, but I like. Um,
Mhm.
Firebird makes me think of a phoenix because when I think of Firebird, that's the type of bird that comes to mind. I don't know if that's what
Right.
Seuss had in mind. I really like the way this is very unseussian. This is probably the first one where if you asked me to get, like, I would definitely, it wouldn't even be in my top 10 guesses. Even Cat Detective on the Wrong Side of Town, while certainly in a different style than he normally does, at least had Seussian elements to it. This one, Seussian element that I see is a little bit in the waves. What I really like about this is how the waves are almost like absurdist, right? Like, if you notice, these are impossible. If you pay close attention, you'll see these are impossible waves. They can't. They're going in opposite directions. Like, so we have these impossible wave patterns, and the Firebird, whatever it's doing, seems to be flying out of the water. It almost gives the impression that it's like the bird himself that's creating the pattern. That there's almost volcanic, like it's an explosion in the background. I don't know what's going on here, but I am intrigued.
Right.
I don't know. Anything you have to say about this one? It's a very simple one, but it's quite interesting.
It's certainly has a look to it. It's almost like it's fields of grass rather than straight up waves. You see the crash of it. It reminds me a little bit of some of the backgrounds of Samurai Jack. Sort of the straight lines,
Yeah.
the off colors. The sky is yellow, yet the sea is blue, but it's not quite the right blue either. The white isn't quite where it should be as much as you might think. It's rigid, even though there's tons of motion, like grass being blown down by the wind. But the Firebird flies through it all. Maybe we'll get some insight on the next one. Freebird. Now remember, don't ask for Freebird if you're not going to give your band a hefty tip. There you go. That's a little tip from the bouncer there. They will get angry.
That's pretty funny. Yeah, Freebird is interesting because whereas it's like the gentler alternative to Firebird. Firebird, like I said, I think Firebird came second, and it almost seems like a response to Freebird. Is it the same bird? It's unclear. Unlike Firebird, where it was an impossible landscape, right? The waves were going in opposite directions and in a way that did not make any sense. The sky was the wrong color. I mean, you could argue maybe that it was like at sunset, but it's still like it filled the whole sky in a way that was unnatural. The whites were in the wrong part, as you said. Here, these are possible waves. They do still look like mountains, which is interesting. And there's certainly some Seussian absurdity in like how perfectly curved they are in the bottom right. But nevertheless, like they're at least all going in the same direction. You know, like it doesn't feel like as wrong is how I would put it. You know, Firebird was like almost an attack on the senses, right? The Firebird is like attacking the landscape, it's attacking you, and everything is jagged and off. Freebird is a more joyous thing. You see, I really like the way that the bird is small against it, but you see the graceful flowing tail because it gives the impression it's like this is a bird that is free to live its life in this beautiful land, in this beautiful landscape. It's clearly the dawn, right? The sun is rising in the distance, and you almost get the impression like this is the life, right? You would want to live like this bird. Anything you want to add?
Oh, that's pretty good. Excuse me. Yeah, no, it's just different. The waves rather than that harsh sort of color have emotion to them. They're sea glass green. The peaks are like mountains, sure, but rather than attacking, it's like they're there and you're running through the trough of them, and it's actually quite easy despite the appearance of violence. You have no doubt that this Freebird is doing okay. Even the spikes of the waves and in the bottom right corner seem to be more of a flow rather than a attack.
Right.
Yes.
Now the question is the Freebird the Firebird?
see.
It might be.
It might be. I'm not sure though. They have similar things, but maybe it's a matter of mode. The Firebird is in on the attack, whereas the Freebird is simply riding the waves. Let's move on to
It
the next.
definitely gives the impression. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll say one last thing about it. One last thing about it. Yeah, it definitely gives the impression that the Firebird is some sort of mythological creature. And it's possible that that's the same setting, but this time the Firebird is causing what's going on. It's now on the attack. Someone's angered it.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, we'll go next one, which is called Lonely, I believe, right?
Yep. Another cat.
Yep. Suess liked cats. Like I said, I didn't realize how much he liked cats. Obviously, Cat in the Hat's famous, but it's one book. So I'm like, apparently.
Is he gone again? Why am I having trouble? There we go. Yeah. Okay. Anthony's gone for now. We'll keep talking. Yeah, he did like cats quite a bit. And it's interesting because it's a cat hanging on by his tail to a line stretched between two palm trees. It brings this lonely feeling to it. The white surrounding it, the white of the what may be sands, what may be water, sort of a dreamtime experience. But the white makes the uh, cat stand out, in ways that you wouldn't normally see. It's the center of the piece almost, but just off center because you never really want anything on center. The palm trees seem to fractally go back into the distance of the dunes, and there's like gin and shadows and strange things in the corners and the top, almost like the aurora borealis. It's a dream sequence certainly, but for a cat who is not dreaming of catching mice or running under people's feet to trip them up, but rather dreaming of itself alone in what may be a giant litter box to it. Um, the palm trees and stuff all jagged and all over the place, but it's holding itself up between the palm trees in a hammock, and it's being held up by its own tail. It's an interesting sort of setup. The drooping palm trees, all of it makes a feel of a turgid lifelessness, that there could be life, that there could be something here. But instead, what we get is um the death of things, really. Things that are living, sure, but they're drooping over. They're tired of living. They almost want that death, that release from the art itself, to return to a sort of unseen nothingness from their original state. Interesting stuff. Oh, he's back.
I do think it
Welcome
does
back,
a
Ed.
very good job of. Cool. Hi. The reason
Hello.
I put this on the list is I do think that this does a very. Can you
I can hear you now.
I think it does a very good job of getting, which is lonely. Um, this is probably not my favorite because, frankly, I think he could have done better at getting that across. I think that if I had to be a little bit of an art critic for a second, I think that I don't know. It doesn't feel dark enough for the idea that he was trying to get across, though. But I do think that he does an excellent job with the sense of isolation. As you said, I think there's something really interesting about, he does a great job of making sure it's not quite on center. Anyone who knows anything about design knows you don't want things to be exactly on center. Making them slightly off center is always more visually interesting. he does a very good job with that. The drooping trees are great. The surreal purple color of the sky is great. I think it's interesting that he has all of that white light surrounding the character. It's not one of my favorites, I would say, because when I think of lonely, I think of loneliness as being something incredibly dark, and there's something a little bit too bright about the light surrounding the cat. On the other hand, since I am neither an artist nor an art critic, I am open, and this is obviously an extremely technically proficient piece. I am open to the idea that I am missing something about the interpretation. So, anything you think I might be being unfair?
I mean, not particularly, but we can't be like, oh, I don't know anything about this. It's like, no, Anthony, we want the opinions. We want our honest to goodness dog shit opinions. It's the only way to live.
Yeah, right? Yeah, I'm just going to expound as if I know something.
Yeah, it's what I do.
Yeah.
It's what I do every day. If you ever in a sales call with me, I'll never lie to you, but I will say things that are utterly ridiculous because I can.
Are they true? Well,
yes.
I don't know that they're not true, so it's not a lie. Anyway.
Listen, this grill will outlast you. You see, seriously? Probably. You don't look like you're going to live for that much longer.
I mean, I'm going to be honest, dude. I'm not sure if grill is the right purchase for you. Maybe Ozempic. No.
I've seen people who are closer to death than you, but I only had to wait 5 minutes for them.
Incredible. No, yeah, if I had to give technically it's very interesting. I think he does a really good job of getting across the idea of loneliness, but if I had to nitpick it, I would say that I'm not sure I agree with the choice to use so many bright colors and to center the cat in white. But I feel like it should almost be in the reverse, right? Like that the darkness should be around the cat and the bright colors should be around it, but it's still a very interesting piece, and I do think it has a lot of visual interest in it, in the way that's set up. I'm ready to move on.
This is our last painting. The winter spring came late.
Wow, we did a good job. Repeat the title again.
The winter spring came late.
Yeah, the winter spring came late. I had a hard time, these last two are, there were a few I could have picked. These are not among my absolute favorites because we're getting to the bottom of the top 10. He has quite a few. They're all good. They're all excellent, actually, but
yeah,
I could have picked a few different ones for this 10th spot. I do like this one though. I like the title because the title implies a story going on here. Like that there's apparently, they're waiting for spring to come.
Right.
Yeah, right? The winter, let me try and do that math in my head, right? The winter, spring came late. Yeah. So clearly, it almost feels like the house itself is tired of the winter. They're like, okay, we're ready. Let spring happen. The tree still has ice, but the ice is half melted and jagged. There's some ice at the top of the hat. It almost implies it looks like a river, but it also looks to me like melted snow. That's kind of the impression I get. I don't know. When I look at this one, I guess it's not very interesting. I just really like the idea that's telling the story of a very tired house that is just fucking ready for spring to come. It reminds me of me every single winter. I hate the winter. Winter sucks.
What?
You live in Missouri. You don't count. In Missouri?
Yeah, I'm sure. You know what? You're right. Everyone, you know what about your wedding? People talk about It's like, oh Ben, you should rent a car in a blankety blank winter in the Northeast states. Absolutely not. I'm going to get
Yeah.
Ubered everywhere.
I
If
mean, to
someone's
be
going to have an
honest,
accident, it's going to be a foreign national.
yeah.
What do you think
To
I'm
be
thinking?
honest, you're not entirely wrong about this.
That's right. That's right. You got to
Anything
choose
you
your
want to add about this
sociopathy.
painting?
Yeah, no, not really. It's just a really interesting house. There's all kinds of details over it, but none of them really speak to me. It's definitely a house. It's civilized. It's part of something. There's road and power and everything else like that. And it's interesting to look at. You see the bedrooms and the living rooms and stuff. It's almost like there's like pool chairs and stuff. Nobody's using them. The person at the door seems pretty, sort of broken down. There's patches of snow, but there's enough patches of snow to make it look dirty, but not quite, not like worth cleaning. Um, it's just kind of miserable without looking miserable, if you get me.
Yeah, I understand exactly what you mean. Of the top 10, this is probably my least favorite of them. And again, it's all relative. And honestly, it's not even because there's anything like easily imagine someone saying, oh, this one is my favorite. It's the least visually interesting to me. Like, I picked it
Yeah.
over several others. There were a few other possible choices. Archbishop cats, a plethora of cats were good ones. I almost
Yeah.
picked my Petunia can lick your jersey. I settled on this one because I like the story of the tired house waiting for the end of winter. But considering all of the other like gorgeous paintings that we've looked at, it's probably my least favorite. But it's definitely like there's nothing technically wrong with it, and it's definitely good enough that I could easily imagine someone going the other way and going, "No, this is my favorite." Like something about the way that this is set up really speaks to me. It reminds me of my childhood. It evokes right. It's really that I think that Seuss nails. And I do get that. I do get the emotion in the scene. It works for me.
Right, right. Yeah, no, I get you. It's yeah, it just kind of works. I have seen some of his pictures before. I might have seen that video a long time ago. This stuff is always interesting because it's like you get to see sort of how artist that you have a specific image of in your head is doing his thing, um, or not. It's just kind of like how do I want to put it? Like the look behind the curtain into a more focused set of ideas that just kind of do its job. Just kind of do its job in a good way.
Yeah, and you want to know something like as far as these Dr. Seuss paintings go, it's like I think this is the first time I've genuinely been like, you know what? I just like really, really like this artist and his work. Like, I could see myself having one of these in my house. Not one of the full price ones, cause they're fucking $3,000 and for a recreation. Let alone
Right.
an original probably goes for way more than that. But like,
Oh
just
yeah.
as a piece of artwork, I would absolutely have it in my house. Like, they're really cool. I'm gonna try and take more of an interest in art and try and get more educated in the technical side of it because, again, art is work made to an aesthetic standard. Um, this is my adaptation of the J.D. Cohen, Brian Niemeyer mantra: art is work made to a standard. I agree with it, but I think that aesthetic standard um, kind of neatly makes out the edge cases, right? Like that keep where you go, well, what about making a toilet or whatever? And they would bite the bullet and say that's art, but then it almost feels like we're talking about two different things. So
Right.
I think this kind
And
of
even like
it kind of threads the needle. Art is Go ahead.
But yeah, because it's like if you hire a plumber, there's ways that a plumber can do it beautifully, and there's ways that a plumber could do it ugly. Yeah, sure, like it's that. But quite frankly, most plumbers aren't going to spend the time to do it right the first time, sort of thing. They're going to just kind of do what gets the job done. So it's like, is that art? Well, by certain definitions, yeah. But then, like, if you see actually well put together house with all the pipes and paintings and electrical lines, the inside guts all splayed out proper, where everything is a straight line and nothing is a bad line, quote unquote. It's something else entirely. Like I promise you, you'll see a difference.
Yeah, that's why I like that clarification of the definition. Art is work made to an aesthetic standard. Now, what that implies is that there is a standard that the art is trying to reach. Unfortunately, when it comes to the visual arts like paintings, I don't know enough about the technical side of it to analyze how well it's meeting the aesthetic standards, except on the very vague level of like, this is really, really technically enjoyable to look. This is really enjoyable to look at, right? Um, we mentioned this, and some people are just really good at knowing just have a strong taste for like what's a strong aesthetic. Digibro is a good example of this. He rejected the very idea of aesthetic standards, but his taste was so well tuned and honed, he could give excellent analysis anyway, almost by accident.
Yep.
So there are definitely, yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm experiencing. I'm experiencing technical difficulties. I'm really sorry about this. Something's wrong with my computer. Why is my computer losing its mind? All right, that should be done. Yep. All right. I'm really sorry for disappearing like that, guys. Anyway, yeah, something's going up. My computer's choking and dying on it. It's a 5-year-old gaming laptop, so honestly, I love you, but this is starting to hurt. I really do. We really do appreciate you guys. Don't lose your emotions over the things that have been happening. It's affected me severely. Not even that I was a big fan of Charlie Kirk, but just the idea of these things happening is a severe strike, a blow against these things that we hold dear as Americans, as more than that. Um, I really hope you guys, sort of stay calm with, whatever happens, and trust in the Lord. That's the important thing. Uh, I'll add Anthony in. Anthony, you're still struggling.
I made it before the end.
Yeah.
I'm back.
Brad. Yep. Anyway, point is
I
that I
didn't
was
think
just
I would
doing.
make it before the end.
Yep. Yeah. Neither did I. I had to intact my Windows Explorer, which I want you to understand how much of a nuke that is for a computer just to turn off Windows Explorer forcibly. Um,
Yes.
so something's happening. I
It's
don't like
fine.
it.
If it makes you feel any better. And this will allow you to make, after my wedding in December, I will not be traveling on Sundays anymore as nearly as often. Like, it will go back to how it was before the engagement.
Anthony, I already discussed your wedding.
Oh,
told
did
me
you?
about
All
your
right, well,
wedding.
yeah.
We've had several discussions
Oh,
on
my
stream
bad.
about
I
your
must have
wedding.
mentioned. I must have mentioned it.
Uh-huh.
I forget sometimes.
Yes, of course. Don't worry. Next week I'll go back to a completely forgotten whether or not you've had a wedding or not. It'll work out.
Oh, good.
I just have to put up for 6 more months of this.
Should we congratulate Ken?
Yeah, I guess so. It goes Ken Dickinson, our audio editor and the voice and writer of Jim Donovan, is married. Things and circumstances happened to both of us that prevented us from going. Namely,
Yes.
California is incredibly expensive, and I am very bad with money. So even though I'm in no dire straits, when it came time to buy the ticket, my bank accounts decided to, take a rocket ship to the underground for 1 week exactly, which was, good stress
I,
test
on
in a
the
good way
other
to
hand,
maintain faith.
yes. I, on the other hand, am in dire straits because I'm paying for my own wedding. So I tried to save, but when I did the math, it wasn't good. But yeah, I felt bad because Ken's coming to by me in December. It's a shame.
Yeah.
I did get him a nice gift. I did message him. He's a good friend. He did spring this on us with a fucking month of prep time. So whose fault is it really? It's his fault.
It's his fault.
Plus, he had to beat me. He met this girl during my engagement. My engagement was like kind of long, but not extreme. And still, he somehow beat me to the wedding.
It's true. It's true. But he has the
Very
excuse
Ken,
of
is what
having
it is.
a Sherlock Holmes mystery of medical issues. And the girl was like, "Yeah, I'm down. Let's get married before you die." And now she's stuck with him as several of his medical issues have gone away suddenly. So haha to her.
Yeah, it was pretty sweet because he mentioned, he's like, "Oh, hey, by the way, he went on and was like, "Oh, hey, by the way, my kidneys are working." And then we're like, I'm going to be honest, the last conversation Ken and I had was, "That doesn't sound good, right?" And then you're like, "Yeah, it's not good."
Yep.
It was like, probably, but nothing we could do about it. And then we're just like, and the way they're working again. And then we're like, well,
thank you.
Anyway, congrats to him. He's a good friend.
Yep, congrats. Cheers. We will guilt you if you don't show up at our weddings, but we refuse to accept any guilt for not showing up at yours. Ha 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 ha. All right.
Yeah, you like give us a month.
It was like 2. Give him some credit.
Still too short. Too short.
All right. All right, guys. I'm ending the stream. Thank you very much for watching us. We'll try to have. I'm trying to get some authors on. We'll see. Yeah, we'll see. See you later. See you guys later.
I had fun with this. We should do another art stream.
Oh, we should. I'm a big fan of. I haven't stopped the stream, by the way. I'm a big fan of Gustav Klimt.